Hello, welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Bill Barhydt, founder and CEO at Abra. So this week, we've got some really deep stuff to get into. Hopefully not too deep, but we need to talk about the Fed. We need to talk about Russia, Ukraine. We need to talk about gold and commodities, how it all affects Bitcoin, how it affects our investment thesis, and we'll get into it. So Natalie Brunell will be here with us, as always, to talk about what's happening with Bitcoin, the European Parliament's vote against the proof of work ban, and what the Fed's doing. So obviously, we'll get into markets and this week's headlines in the crypto world. And the highlight of today's show is probably going to be a little bit of a longer AMA. So we'll give you all a chance to ask me anything about CPRX. We've got some folks from the Abra team here. Pri and Cole are going to join us to talk about CPRX staking, our Make Money with Abra sticker program. And it's going to be a fantastic AMA. So get your questions ready, tee them up, and we'll get into it. So this week, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the first time in years. The rates have been kept low to keep the economy afloat during the pandemic, but those low rates have fueled crushing inflation during the past couple of years. So the central bank is raising its rates, its benchmark federal funds rate by 0.25 percentage points. The FOMC, or Federal Open Market Committee, which sets policy, they indicated that rates could increase as many as 6 more times this year. That means interest rates would be nearly 2% higher, or the core interest rates would be 2% higher at the end of this year. But with real inflation, as I've told you many times, at around 10 to 15% for most American middle-class households, and even higher for the wealthy, and even higher in developing markets around the world, real returns on bank deposits are deeply negative and are going to remain so for many years. So what does this mean for global markets? Well, it means a few things, right? We're likely headed towards recession. You can't, end up with, you can't have war, you can't have rising inflation, you can't have rising oil prices, all of which we'll get into in a moment, without slowing the economy dramatically. So this means that the Fed is likely going to be forced to slow down tightening, which means markets are likely going to push higher in the short term, right? So we'll see, but our prediction, and my prediction explicitly, is that stocks, crypto, especially commodities, are all going to scream higher for a few months. And then we'll evaluate as we go, just given this overdrop of potentially, recessionary pressures, war, oil prices, et cetera, et cetera. So let's actually talk about the impact of all of this on commodities. So like I said, cash may be trash, but let's just dig in for a second on what that may mean for other assets like commodities. I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to show you a couple of interesting charts. So let's take a look. This first chart here shows us West Texas Intermediate crude oil. We can see that earlier this month, the price of oil spiked at over $125 a barrel for West Texas crude, and it's since come down. But we've got an interesting spinning top pattern here on the weekly chart, which is usually very bullish for the price action. It means that it's basically retraced all of the losses for that time frame, in this case for the past week. So we've got a couple of days left in the week, but if this turns green on a candle, that is a major reversal pattern coming off the lows, which means we would highly likely at some point scream much higher. We'll see. So the bottom line is that, look, we would expect oil prices to spike on the Russian news. The problem now is that Russia, as one of the largest oil producers in the world, has effectively been canceled as a country, right? So let me show you this. This is a fantastic article written by Arthur Hayes, the founder of BitMEX, where he basically talked about the fact that on February 26th, the Petro-Dollar system effectively ended. Think about that for a second. We went from Bretton Woods 1, right, to the gold standard, off the gold standard to the petrodollar system, which has effectively served us for many years. Now, you could say the system was starting to wane when China stopped buying our debt, but that didn't change the fact that the petrol system effectively settles in US dollars. I believe that effectively ended about a month ago when the Russian invasion of the Ukraine started. Right. So that means in English that other countries are going to look to potentially settle oil purchases in other currencies. Right. Russia is now, in negotiations, or whatever you want to call it, with Saudi Arabia and other countries to settle oil purchases in yuan, which would basically bypass SWIFT and the existing petrodollar system. So how does this all affect commodities and crypto prices? So look, while our hearts have to collectively go out to the people of Ukraine, and we pray constantly for our friends and our employees over there who are thrust in the middle of all this nonsense, and they've been needlessly attacked by Putin and his Russian army. As investors, we have to focus for a moment on Russia itself and the impact of the sanctions against Russia, including a Russia oil and gas ban and removal from the SWIFT banking system. So the sanctions, rightfully so, have been severely, have been severe after this invasion. Major global businesses like McDonald's have pulled out of Russia completely. Royal Caribbean's canceled cruises, I read, and hundreds of other companies from Apple to Volkswagen have simply canceled business in Russia. Today, right, the Russian central bank announced that its key interest rate will be held at 20%. 20%. So the impact of all of this has been severe. The ruble has tanked in value, fallen over 50%. It's been very volatile, up and down. The country's credit rating has been downgraded. Effectively, it's junk, and it's going to default on its debt. I don't see how it can't. Okay, but could the sanctions backfire? And what do I mean by backfire? Well, in a Reuters report, Russian Finance Minister Anton Siluanov, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, said sanctions had deprived Moscow of access to about half of their $640 billion in gold and foreign exchange reserves. And that was effectively putting pressure on Beijing to shut off the rest, because the rest is effectively held in China. He went on to say that as part of Russia's gold and foreign exchange reserves being held in China, Western countries are now pressuring them to limit access to those reserves. And so the Russian diplomat went on to say, I think our partnership with China will still allow us to maintain the cooperation that we've achieved, and not only maintain, but also increase it in an environment where Western markets are closing. So what does this tell us? Well, if we can effectively cancel an entire country, then it stands to reason that other countries are going to start to worry a lot about their US dollar reserves and treasury holdings. So I think, now let me go back here to gold prices for a second. I think that there's a very good chance that many countries are going to start moving a significant amount of their dollar reserves into gold, right? It just basically doesn't make sense if you're a foreign country in the dollar system and you have any fear whatsoever that you could be canceled in any way or subject to the whims of the US Treasury Department, that you would want to hold those reserves in dollars. So as a result, I would not be surprised at all if we see gold not only right now we're slightly under 2,000. Let me zoom out here for a few weeks. Now, obviously, we've spiked tremendously over the past, relative to gold prices, of course, over the past 6 months, from 1,200 all the way up to 2,000. And I would not be surprised if over the next few years, we see $20,000 gold. Now, let me put that in perspective here by by showing you how high. Now this chart here up here in the stratosphere tops out at 3,000. I'm talking about 20,000. I can't even. It looks like gold is basically zero if I zoom in, right, all the way up to 20,000. Okay, so you see where I'm going with this. There's simply not enough gold to go around. And that sounds familiar, right? So what is the potential likelihood of this on Bitcoin? And Arthur goes on in his article to make a very compelling case that as the dollar will most likely lose its reserve currency status as a result of this canceling of Russia and fear of other countries being canceled, we are going to end up in this kind of mode where not only does gold become kind of a de facto reserve currency again, but Bitcoin becomes uncorrelated to the stock markets because people will realize that it's an easier form of gold. You don't have to worry about physical storage. It can be stored offline. And as long as you have internet access, you can move Bitcoin around. And now with these satellite-based solutions, you don't even need internet access. So, he goes on to make a very compelling case that if if gold is going to 20,000, then Bitcoin is probably going to 1 million, which would be obviously about let's say 25x from where we are. So truly astounding numbers. And look, I don't want to have $20,000 gold because that means that structurally our economy is in big trouble. But it's highly likely that structurally our economy is in big trouble anyway. And as investors, it's incumbent on all of us to protect ourselves, which is why I'm going so deep in crypto and have been. Obviously, I talk about the network effects, which is what's driving the price in the short term. But Arthur makes a very compelling case that beyond the network effects, we're going to be seeing these structural changes to our economy, which are going to lead to high gold and then high Bitcoin prices. Okay, so many people are turning away from these. Turn off the screen share, by the way, here. So many people are turning away from these kind of yield bearing instruments, certainly turning away from bonds for sure, and putting money into safe havens ahead of what may look like a massive recession, right? So some people are starting to put their money into gold or holding Bitcoin and other cryptos to protect themselves. So here's how Abra can provide an even better solution. So if you hold your Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in Abra, you can earn interest on your deposits and put yield back in your portfolio. Abra also offers a way to free up cash without dipping into your principal holdings. So if you're holding Bitcoin and Ethereum with Abra, you can actually borrow up to 15% of the Bitcoin and Ethereum in your account for free. That's right, no interest with Abra Borrow. So let me see if I can find this here. I got to show you this. This is super cool. We've got if you go to abra.com, let me see if I can, I probably shouldn't do this in front of you, but I'm going to bring up my screen again. And I'm going to go to the Abra site. And so hopefully you can see that in a moment. So if you basically scroll, over here, you have borrow under products. Okay, I'm going to click on borrow. Maybe I won't. All right. So if I click on borrow, right, I can scroll down and I have a loan calculator, right? So it shows me if I want to basically access 15% of my crypto, or if I want to access 50% of my crypto, it shows me what my interest payment is. And if I'm accessing 15% of my crypto, my monthly interest payment is 0. And at the end of the term I choose, let's say 3 years, I simply pay back the loan, or I can roll it over again if that option is still available, which I suspect it will be since our lending program is growing by leaps and bounds. We're adding more US states, we're adding more countries, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so go to abra.com, check out the loan calculator. It is super, super cool. All right, so stop that. So Abra offers, as I said, a way to access that cash. So in addition to earning interest on the crypto in your Abra account and borrowing against your crypto balances, Abra also makes it super simple to make trades between cryptocurrencies and stablecoins. We have much lower spreads in the app now, and it's going to get even better. As you all know, we're rolling out market orders soon. We'll get to that during the AMA. So now that's my take on what's happening on a macro level and how it might affect your investments. In the meantime, we have some pretty cool new developments coming up with Abra Trade that we want to show you. So take a look at this.
Trading on Abra is easy. Just click the exchange button. Tap the source you'd like to trade. Tap on what you'd like to trade it for. Type in the amount. Then click Trade. Tap, type, trade. Totally easy on Abra.
Hey, welcome back. So a reminder, we're going to have a more in-depth AMA today. Tee up your questions. Let us know what you want to hear about, whether it's CPRX, trading, Abra, borrow. If you have questions about how borrowing against crypto works, tee them up, and we'll get to them in a moment. So in the meantime, Natalie's back. We're going to get our take from Natalie on Bitcoin's little price bump this week, why the EU Parliament shot down a ban on proof of work, and her take on the Federal Reserve. So, hey, Natalie, how's it going?
Hi, Bill. It was great to see you at South by Southwest. I hope you and everyone had a great week. There's a lot going on, so let's jump right into it. First, let's talk about how Bitcoin shook off that 25 basis point rate hike. We saw a nice climb to $41,000 after the Fed announced the first interest rate increase in 3 years. Now, even though Bitcoin is choppy and people were getting tired of seeing it hovering in the 39,000 range, I do want to point out that it has been performing better than equities since the war broke out in Ukraine. And I think that's because people are really recognizing Bitcoin's value and promise as a solid alternative to the US dollar and other foreign assets that can be debased or manipulated or even seized by central authorities. So people think the pressure is on with Bitcoin amid these rate hikes this year, but I certainly think the pressure is actually on the Fed, which has to be careful going forward because they need to show the country they are serious about fighting inflation by raising rates. But they can't spark a credit collapse or a recession, and any form of aggressive tightening could really spin things out of control. So I think the bottom is in for now with Bitcoin, but of course, we'll continue to see how everything plays out. Meanwhile, the attacks on Bitcoin and crypto by Senator Elizabeth Warren are not letting up. She announced this week a new bill to block crypto companies from conducting business with companies facing economic sanctions. It would add non-US based crypto companies to sanctions lists if they do business with entities that have been economically restricted. And obviously, this is all in light of what's happening in Russia. But also under this bill, crypto exchanges operating here in the US would be prohibited from conducting transactions for or with crypto addresses belonging to people based in Russia. This, of course, can get a bit dicey because there are average citizens in Russia or of Russian descent who oppose the war, and they are being crippled by the collapsing value of the ruble and the inability to use things like Visa and MasterCard or buy goods and services from certain companies. So a very double-edged sword here, but also one with some workarounds due to Bitcoin's ability to be self-custody. Now, moving on to the war overseas in Ukraine, Ukraine continues to defend itself against Russia and is now legalizing Bitcoin. President Zelensky just signed into law a bill on virtual assets. And this is really interesting timing given the ongoing battles, the crisis, but it really highlights the fact that crypto is playing a big role in financing both military aid and refugee assistance. The country has received tens of millions of dollars, I'm told even possibly $100 million in crypto donations. And now this law will determine the legal status, classification, ownership, and regulators of virtual assets like Bitcoin. The law also sets registration requirements, and exchanges will be regulated and allowed to operate legally with banks opening accounts. The Ministry of Finance also said that they will be working on amendments to the country's tax code to fully launch the market for virtual assets. So a lot going on amid this war. And I think it's been really inspiring to see people getting help in real time via Bitcoin in Ukraine. People can send donations directly with no counterparty risk, no delays, no censorship. And that money can't be confiscated at any border. You may have actually seen this week some social media posts showing suitcases stuffed with cash and valuables obviously seized at borders. So it really highlights the use case of Bitcoin's portability, especially in the middle of a crisis. Now, back here in the US this week, we also heard from Mayor Francis Suarez of Miami and Mayor Eric Adams of New York City at a fintech conference about how they believe blockchain technology will help increase economic competition, equality, and diversity in their cities. Now, Suarez believes America needs to become a leader in crypto and Bitcoin so that we have the ability to outmaneuver countries like China and Russia. And meanwhile, Mayor Adams said that he believes the technology will help even the playing field economically and provide a new incentive structure that promotes equality. I'd say we agree. And just a final note here, I had the honor of meeting President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador this week, one-on-one. I'm so grateful that he took the time to meet with me. So I just wanted to say, you know, a lot of people were curious. Meeting him in person left me with such a great impression of both his character and his vision for El Salvador. I can't share everything we talked about just yet, but you know, he's very easygoing, very knowledgeable about Bitcoin, and very hopeful about the kind of future that he can create for his country. So very inspired and grateful for that meeting. That's it for now. Bill, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Natalie. As always, that was fantastic. And so we'll see you next week. And it was really awesome to see you and hang with you and Peter and Dan and the whole gang back at South by Southwest. And so great to see everybody out and about in person again. So I want to do a really quick overview of what I see structurally going on in the crypto markets right now. And then I want to talk about some news and then quickly get into the AMA, which I want to use for the majority of the show today. So structurally, I'm looking at futures markets right now, and demand is coming in and it's backing up a lot of on-chain data that I've been talking about for months. So for months, I've been saying, you know, that the fundamental signals are that Bitcoin has been in an accumulation zone, which you know, great, but price has to follow. And right now, it looks like demand is continuing to come in from futures markets, which is backing up what we've been seeing on chain. And Willy Woo in his comments this morning also backed this up, and he said fundamental signals now point to Bitcoin being in this accumulation zone, which typifies the end of a bear market. Now, I wouldn't call this like a macro bear market. I would call it an extended pullback, which is what we see all the time. Now, a lot of this was also driven by some macros, which is, you know, Russia and you know, fears around interest rate hikes being overblown, et cetera, et cetera. So it looks like that there's a countdown here. I would give it 1 to 2 weeks at the most, if not sooner. But I think we're going to see a bullish breakout where we retest 50,000. And my conviction for this is pretty high. And those of you who read Willy Woo's newsletter know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, you know, just digging in a little bit, clearly we're in an accumulation phase. Let me see if I can bring this up here while I'm talking. But like I said, clearly we're in an accumulation phase. You know, for those who are experiencing a Bitcoin bear market for the first time, and just to make this easy, you know, we'll call this a bear market. Usually, bear markets end with a capitulation event, right? And I don't know if we're going to see one this time around, right? And so by capitulation event, usually what that means is kind of a micro crash into something that would approach the recent lows, which would set up the next bull phase. But it looks like that may not happen this time. Okay, so price stability is actually continuing to climb, which is starting to form a very significant peak. Anyway, so this should continue, accounting for this influx of demand arriving in the markets. And this has, you know, again, all the hallmarks of the last stages of accumulation before a very bullish breakout. And ETH is really looking even more bullish. I think ETH is going to outperform Bitcoin in the next few weeks. On-chain demand is at all-time highs. We've got the upgrade to proof of stake on the horizon. It looks like real yield on Ethereum is probably going to push upwards of 10%. And so, you know, let me, I'll bring up my ETH chart here for a second and then call it a day on this. But So just coming over here to Ethereum on the weekly chart, right? Clearly, look, we've had a breakout. If I just kind of zoom out here on the weekly, we were in this down channel. And I say we're pretty close to a breakout where we make a higher high over here. Clearly, it's a little dicey. I would say if Ethereum breaks here 3350, I would say clearly the kind of short-term bear market is over. Structurally, I think it's already over, but price leads. And Ethereum's up another 3% today, and it's looking really bullish versus even Bitcoin, but also versus the broader market. So as I said, I would be shocked if Ethereum didn't outperform Bitcoin going forward. So I'll leave it at that. That's our proverbial reading of the tea leaves for now. And we'll, of course, answer any questions you have about where this is all going in the AMA. So keep teeing them up. So as I said, get those CPRX questions ready. We'll have answers for you on all things coming up on Abra next. I'm going to do a quick 5 minutes on the news, and then we'll spend the last half hour answering any questions you have. All right. So before we get into that, let me show you how easy the Abra app is to use. Check out this super cool video that the team set up for us. Okay, so let's get into some news. So there's a lot going on. Let me just share my screen here again while we're talking. And let me start out with, let's see, what do we got? I talked about Russia. Let's talk about the Bored Apes. So if those of you who are into NFTs, the Bored Ape Yacht Club is creating their own crypto. Yuga Labs, the company behind the Bored Apes NFT, launched ApeCoin. The ApeCoin token is going to be the primary token for new games and NFTs from the company. It's now live. It's spiked. The price is coming down, but it's kind of interesting. Right now, the coin will only be used as in-app currency for games, and it's being used in this Benji Bananas game. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to check it out. And ApeCoin sank about 80% in the first 2 hours after being launched. Which is what I would expect given the concentration and a lot of people selling. It fell from a high of around 39 to as low as around $6, but its market cap is around 2 billion. Super interesting. We're going to watch that closely. As you all know, we've got a lot of plans for C-Perks at Abra, and the Crypto Banking Alliance also has a lot of plans for C-Perks in the gaming space and other areas. And we'll see how that evolves as well. So congrats to them. So Senator Elizabeth Warren, she just can't stay out of the crypto news. And this week, let me see if I can bring this up so you can read it. CoinDesk is not a very good website. So, okay. Senator Warren has a new plan to crack down on crypto. So she announced a bill yesterday that would let the president sanction crypto exchanges and people outside the US who transfer the cryptocurrency of entities, namely Russians, who are under sanctions. So basically, it would let the US sanction foreign exchanges if a Russian oligarch, for example, tried to move money digitally through the exchange. But the bill goes beyond just Russia. It would also require the Treasury Department to file a report on any US citizen making any transaction of $10,000 or more, which would mean a ridiculous amount of reports being filed on Americans conducting perfectly legal transactions. So I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but I wish that at some point, Senator Warren would get a viable lesson and listen to some folks from the crypto space on what it means to actually, use Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and the fact that even the U.S. Treasury Department has come out many times and made it clear that you simply cannot use Bitcoin and most cryptocurrencies to evade sanctions. It's just not realistic. Anyway, let me bring up screen here. So lastly, President Zelensky in the Ukraine signed a law that officially legalizes cryptocurrencies in the country. Millions of dollars in donations have poured into the country since Russia invaded. The new law sets up a regulatory framework and lays out which agency will be responsible for oversight, kind of typical, and also allows Ukrainian banks to open up accounts for crypto companies. Super important. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop there in the news. We're already on the half hour. So as I talked about a bit earlier, Abra is a fantastic way to earn interest while holding on to your crypto. We're going to get into that more in the AMA, and we've worked really hard to make it secure, a simple one-stop shop for your crypto needs. So here's a quick look at how you can earn interest on the Abra deposits. Okay, welcome back. So this is our opportunity to take your questions. We're going to bring on a few folks from Abra. I've got Cole Dunbar, our product marketing manager, Priya Challa, our director of product, especially for crypto perks and growth, is joining us today. Welcome, Cole. Welcome, Priya. How y'all doing?
Good, thanks, Bill.
Yeah,
Great.
Thank you for having us on today.
Yeah, good to see you as always. So they're going to help me answer your questions. We'll talk a little bit more about C-Perks, our sticker referral program, some new Abra features, and anything else you all want to talk about. So a reminder, this is not a support channel. There's live support in the Abra app. So if you have app-specific support issues, use the support in the Abra app. Don't put your wallet ID in the chat. It's not going to help. I want to be able to find people's questions. And so let me see here. So I've got a few questions about CPRX staking. So Priya, you want to talk about where we are with CPRX staking?
Yeah. So very soon, next week, we're essentially going to launch a capability where you'll be able to earn 3% interest on C-Perks that you hold or stake in Abra Earn. So essentially what you'll do is you'll take your available C-Perks, you'll take your C-Perks balance, and you go to your Abra Earn home screen, and you transfer the amount you want to stake, and you will get additional 3% on it. And there's no lockup or limit on how much you want to put in Abra Earn. And so you could buy C-Perks and then stake it. And if you are if you are a user of Abra Perks and you're in a certain loyalty tier, I'll take an example. So if you're in like a cruise tier and you're earning 1.5% boost on, say, your stable coins, so you're getting 8%, essentially you can earn an additional 3% on the rewards that you earn from that boost. So that's going to be amazing. And we're super excited to launch it and bring it for your users.
Awesome. And when do we expect C-Perk staking to go live? The next few days, next few months? What's the plan?
It's going to be early next week.
Early next week. Okay, so everybody got that? Early next week. So I've got about 75 questions on C-Perks timing, C-Perks staking timing. So early next week. So I'm not gonna take any more questions on the timing of CPERC staking. Okay, everybody got it? Okay, good. All right, thanks, Sebastian. Okay, so I've got some questions on when trading will resume for selling CPERCs. So I'll take that one. So right now, the plan is to turn on CPERC sells with market orders. Let me explain the challenge that we're having. So Abra is not an exchange. We basically use other exchanges to process sells and buys. And so because of the way we do that, we don't actually process the trade on the transaction, the trade on exchanges in real time. There's a delay. And that delay is actually the root of the problem. And it can actually cost us a fair amount of money. And so we're fixing that problem, which will go away with these new market orders. And because CPERCs is a new currency and not as liquid, it actually creates a lot more problems versus trading Bitcoin or Ethereum or other more liquid altcoins. And anyway, as a result, we've been forced to make this change temporarily. We're working on market orders. One thing I will tell you all is, we do have a fair amount of employees at Abra in the Ukraine, and that has affected us a little bit on the delivery timing. But I suspect, we'll get to it as quickly as we can. We did list some new tokens. Somebody was asking about listings for new tokens. Cole, do you have those offhand? Which tokens we just turned on?
I don't have them off the top of my head. Maybe, Priya, are you able to talk about the new tokens?
We are working on some additional tokens. Maybe what we'll do is we'll send out a communication about our plan for all the new assets we are adding.
Yep. We actually launched a few this past week, I believe. I don't remember which ones, but there was a few UST, I believe, and then a couple of others as well. Let's see. We've got some other questions here. Somebody asking about the sticker program and can explain how this works. So who wants to take that one? Cole, you want to take that one?
Yeah, of course. So the sticker program we see as like a really great upgrade to our existing referral program, where we've seen a lot of user interest and a lot of users making referrals. And what the sticker program does is it lets users go to abra.com/sticker. And for a limited time, you can enter the code GOABRA and get 25 free stickers with your own customized referral code QR on them. And once these stickers will be delivered to your door, and you can use these stickers to post on your phone, on your computer, on public message boards, anywhere where it's okay to publicly post. And this will help spread the word about Abra and earn you the referral bonus in the process. So we're really excited to be kicking off this program and giving users more ways to share their love for Abra.
And what do you earn? So if somebody clicks on or takes a picture of my QR code on the sticker, and they fulfill the referral requirements, then what do I get as the sticker, user?
Yep, you get a full $25 in CPRX, and the person that you referred gets the $25 referral bonus, and then they also, for funding their account, get $15. So it's really great value for both the person who's making the referrals and the person who's being referred.
Yep, got it. Very cool. So check that out. It's available right now in US only. And depending upon how this goes, it's kind of a big test for us. We'll look to potentially expand that to other countries as well. Here's a question on Abra Borrow. In what US states is Abra Borrow available? Any idea when it will be available in Washington state? So thanks for that question, Eli. Let's see. So we have Abra Borrow available in, I believe, 43 or 44 US states now. And there are several states pending. I believe Washington, Maryland, Florida, somebody else was asking, are also pending. We have lending licenses pending in those states, California as well. So basically, every state where Abra Borrow is not available, we have a lending license pending, I believe, with the exception of the state of New York. So, so on the U.S. side, you can expect Abra Borrow to be available in 49 states and plus some other territories within the next few weeks and months. And so this has been a high priority for our team. The ability to borrow 15% of your Bitcoin and Ethereum for free is something that is totally unique to Abra, and we want everyone to take advantage of this when they need to. Obviously, don't borrow money you don't need, but if you have a need to put that money to work and you want to access those gains, Abra Borrow is a fantastic option. So check that out. And as I said, we're working on all the other states. If you're not sure if your state is available, just start up the app, go to Abra Borrow on the bottom of the screen, and it'll tell you right away, based upon your phone number and IP address location, whether or not Abra Borrow is available in your country. Okay. Okay. So I understand that for some folks, CPerks rewards have been delayed, and I'm seeing some miscellaneous questions on that. Priya, do you want to address what's going on there? And I don't know if that's a problem for a lot of users or a small amount. Can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah. About a couple of weeks ago, we had to take our CPerks payments that we typically pay out every 5 to 7 days. We paused that because we wanted to take a very methodical approach of making sure we go through all the rewards and we distribute them fairly. So we're doing that process internally right now, and we've actually already started payments for trade and borrow rewards for all our global users. Okay. So you should see those payments soon. We're maturing our program, and as we do that, we want to make sure we have a very rigorous process of distributing these rewards and fair distribution. So this should be the trade and borrow rewards should be distributed very soon if they haven't already been to you, and the referral and the first cash in should start following up next week.
Yep, got it. Okay, let's see. Thank you for that. So, in other words, all of you asking about any potential delay to receiving CPerks, it's all good. Let's see what else. A lot of questions here. So it looks like we updated the app this week and updated the Abra Earn screens, and I'm getting some questions about what that means. I see a couple of questions here. I noticed that I now see 2 columns on the Abra Earn screen. Does one of you want to explain what that means and why it's a good thing?
Yeah, I can take that one. So essentially what you're going to now see is on your Earn screen for every asset, you're going to see your in-kind yield in APY that you're earning. So in kind of the example we talked about earlier, so if you're earning 8% on your stable coins, you will see 8% in one of the columns in kind. And the second column essentially shows you what bonus yield you're earning through CPerks. Mm-hmm. So that's the 2 columns essentially showing you your effective yield on every asset. And that's the experience that is available in the app now.
Very cool. So just upgrade your Abra apps on the App Store and Play Store to the latest version, and you'll see what Priya is talking about. It's pretty cool. So you get a single kind of bird's eye view on the fact that you're making 13%. So like Jerry, I saw your question about how do I earn the higher rates. So just to be clear, if you get into that highest tier, I think it's to the moon tier, then basically you earn an extra 5% on your US dollar stablecoin deposits in Abra Earn. So effectively you get the 8% in kind, and then the 5% that's shown in the CPerks column. So the 2 combined gives you that 13%. So Jerry, I hope that makes sense and that answers your question. Okay, so let's see. Getting more questions on CPerks payments. So I think that's going to be it for CPERC's payment and trading issues. So hopefully, and you'll see the staking going live. It looks like early next week, maybe latest mid next week. So I think we'll call it a day there on the CPERC's timing questions. If any of you have other questions unrelated to that on CPERC's, please tee those up. Let's see, getting some questions on trading. So let me try to summarize here. Yeah, so trading and how does Abra determine which new tokens to list in Abra Trade, and are more tokens coming? So I'll take that one. So, it's a non-trivial process for us to decide which tokens to launch. It's partially based upon our custody partners. If we can't custody the tokens, we can't list them at all. And so we wait for them to make decisions around which tokens to list in their custody system. And usually they have different lists of what they'll support in both US and non-US because of fears around, I guess, securities issues in the United States. And so usually we'll be in a position to list new tokens a little bit faster outside the US, and then they'll quickly follow suit in the US, okay? And so we're constantly looking at more tokens. As I said, last week we added a few new tokens as well. I believe UST was one, and there was I think 2 or 3 others, and more are constantly coming. And so hopefully, our partners will be releasing more in their custody system soon. Okay, Ed asks, can you discuss the SEC fines on BlockFi? Sure, I don't have a lot to say on BlockFi. I mean, they have their business and we have ours. We run our business, I believe, very differently from BlockFi. We basically pay out interest through a bank trust, and they were not, as far as I'm aware, but I don't know the details of how they operate, but I believe it's very different from Abra. And we're constantly in contact with regulators, throughout the world, but also throughout the US. And I'm sure BlockFi is as well. I think getting clarity on how both the states as well as the federal regulators in the US look at crypto lending and crypto yield is a really good thing. I believe, and I've always believed that since we launched Abra Earn, that Abra is the safest place in the world to earn yield on crypto holdings. I don't think anybody else in the crypto space does it better. And so, I'm very confident in our model. I'm also happy for our friends at BlockFi that they've managed to put this behind them. They're good guys and gals, and we wish them well. So in that regard, we're actually quite happy that they got clarity and they were able to put it behind them. And it's nothing specifically to do with Abra, except that it's always good to have regulatory clarity. Okay, let's see what else. Take a couple more questions here. Let's see, a lot of questions on CPERC's that we've already addressed, so I'm not going to address those again. If anybody has any different questions, I'm going to take thoughts on the Federal Reserve launching the digital dollar. This is related to President Biden's executive order. Would this be similar to the money China has? And where can they turn on and off and track spending? So this is from Catherine. Yeah, Catherine, really good question. So last week, President Biden and the White House released an executive order on cryptocurrencies, which basically required certain federal agencies to research and report back on myriad issues relating to cryptocurrencies. One of those issues was, should the United States release a central bank-based digital currency, and how would it work? So China has already created one. And look, I think the way that they're currently going about the CBDC model is a disaster. It effectively takes all the tenets of paper money and undoes them by basically making money traceable, and acting as a backdoor into your personal life. That is not the purpose of money. The purpose of money is to facilitate smooth, easy commerce and giving the public access to commerce in a way where not only can they pay for goods and services, but can pay for any taxes that they may owe on their obligations. So this idea that we can turn money into a state-sponsored, oversight of the public should be very concerning to all of us. And in its current form, I personally cannot support anything related to central bank digital currencies. And this narrative of, well, I'm a good person, I follow the law, so I have nothing to worry about, is pure nonsense. All of us should be concerned about the government, putting another oversight program in place to watch the public and be able to cancel people who may make a mistake from time to time. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, so that's my take on that. I think the US is far behind on this topic, and stablecoins are filling in the void just fine. And we already have the ability to trace transactions online as it is. We don't need a lot more oversight as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's see. I will take two more questions here. Let's make them good ones and give. Okay, let's see. So Brenton asks, can Abra add the ability to enter the amount of coins we want to buy in addition to a money amount on the app? That's good feedback. We'll give that one to the team. I guess it's a question technically. The answer is obviously we can add whatever we want. And so we'll take that feedback and give it to the team. Good question. Yes, CBDC is scary. So I agree with your comment there. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm getting a couple of questions here about if my money is in trade, am I earning interest? So specifically the question is, does my money earn, or does my crypto earn interest in Abra trade? If not, what am I supposed to do? So Cole, you want to take that one?
Yeah, this ties in really well with adding CPERX to the Earn account. When a user is holding their funds in their trade account, they're not earning interest, but they have the ability to quickly make trades with those funds. If you're planning on holding onto your funds for a longer time and maybe taking a little break from trading, it's good to be able to move your funds into the Earn account so that you can be earning interest on it. So one thing I personally do is when I plan to make trades, I move some funds out of Earn to make the trades. And then as soon as I'm done with those trades, I'll move them back into the Earn account so that I'm constantly earning as much interest as I can. And with the launch of adding the CryptoPerks token to Earn, now users can both hold CryptoPerks to earn their loyalty tiers and earn interest on their CryptoPerks holdings.
Excellent. So basically, you have to move the crypto over to Earn, and you'll start earning your interest. So very cool. Thanks, Cole, for that. Let's see. Let's create one. Let's see if we have one more good one here. Let's see. Somebody was asking about withdrawal fees. Paul, I'll take a look at that, but we don't really set the withdrawal fees ourselves. They're set by custodian partners, and so we'll take a look. But to my knowledge, the fees are in line with market. But maybe something's changed. I'll certainly ask the team to take a look at it, and they're probably listening anyway. So my guess is they're already looking at it right now based on what I just said. Philippines loves Abra. Thank you for that. That's really kind. Also seeing some love here from Brazil. Appreciate that as well. Somebody asking if I'm going to write the book of my life. I barely have enough hours in the day to deal with what I have to do. So maybe when I retire, I'll write a book and then no one will read it. Let's see. CPERX is the best. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'm getting the same questions over and over. Some folks are asking about market orders, limit orders. Again, they're coming. We've had, I believe, a couple of weeks of delay on market orders. So very soon, I expect them to be launched, and we'll bring the trading product team on to Money Talks to talk about it when we bring it to you. I look forward to that. I'm super excited about it. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. If you need more detail on how trade, earn, borrow works, I'm here at abra.com. You can see under products, we have trade. You can click on the trade button and you can get all kinds of cool detail about how to use Abra to swap between cryptocurrencies, dollars, Bitcoin, Doge, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Tether, Cardano, et cetera, et cetera. We will actually show you here a consolidated overview of the current price. You can click on any of the cryptocurrencies listed here that we support. You can search for any coin and get more detail on it. You can get more detail on Abra Earn, right? So you can see here, lots of detail on current rates, which we also send out via email every Monday. And then lastly, our loan calculator, which I think is super cool. So you click on borrow here, and that brings up the loan calculator, and you simply type in the amount. So if I type in 5,000, and I basically say, here's how much collateral. And if I'm doing a 15% LTV loan, meaning I'm actually borrowing from 12 or so Bitcoin, then I'm actually paying zero interest. And if I'm holding the equivalent of $100,000 of Bitcoin and I want to borrow, let's say $20,000, then I would click on this and I'm paying $329 a month in interest to borrow that $20,000. Okay. So, wrong amount. So I'm borrowing, in this case, $20,000. Okay. And I'm paying $65 a month in interest, even better. Okay. So check out the loan calculator. It's one of the coolest things, I think, on our website. All right. So I'm going to turn off that screen share. Thank you, Cole and Priya, for joining us. You guys are awesome. You do amazing work to keep the wheels moving at Abra. We really appreciate everything you guys do. And so thank you to those of you asking questions. We've got hundreds of people in the live chat today. So I appreciate that. A lot of noise, getting harder and harder to sift through as the show is growing. So maybe we'll figure out a better solution for asking questions. But yeah, thank you so much for all your support. It's been an amazing week, awesome week of deposits here at Abra. So thank you for that. And yeah, so we'll call it a day there, and look for another great episode next Friday with the Abra team. And have a fantastic weekend. And we will see you next week on Money Talks.